Hi there, Let's Talk Sports fans. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let's Talk New York Sports, and I'm joined by my co-host, Keith. Keith, you're joining me, so it's Friday.
It is Friday. Thank God it's Dan Harris, or thank God it's Friday, one or the other. So I guess they both mean the same thing to me.
It does, although not so much this week because it seems like not a day goes past you're not on LTS, which I'm always pleased to see, Keith.
Well, I appreciate that, and I do have a bone to pick with you. I guess that I should have brought up off the air, but since we're already on the air, it turns out that I was on the NBA show last night, the NBA draft show special, and I think I was the lowest paid guy on the rostrum. So I don't know who to complain about that to. So I thought I'd start with you.
I was going to say, it's okay. I'll drop you 4 cents and then you'll be the highest paid guy.
Well, I don't know. Johnny looks like he's been living large, so I'm not so sure. But I appreciate the effort anyway. No, we had a lot of fun last
And
night dropping in with the guys. Had a lot of fun.
yeah, um, I thought it turned out quite well. I know it was something Tanner wanted to do for a while, that sort of a live presentation for a draft show.
Yeah.
So yeah, the guys are killing it. Nice to have a actual Let's Talk Sports show, if you will, and very different personalities. Very, I think it's fair to say, no matter your personality, there's probably someone on that crew what matches yours.
Yeah, well, I'm also probably going to have to talk to the HR department because there's some ageism going on that I'm going to have to address at some point as well. But we'll see. We probably don't have an HR department yet, so I'll probably have to wait till there is one.
I was going to say, the HR department is Mr. Nick Bobkins, so is there HR
All right, well,
department?
I'm screwed. So, oh
Um,
God.
so but yeah, Keith, I thank you for helping the guys out. Great show. And how was your show with Carlos this morning? Fun time?
Well, Carlos was MIA today. He had a family obligation, I think, with his kids and getting through in school and things like that. So he did not make it. So I kind of winged it myself and let the audience kind of dictate where we went topic wise. We had a lot of fun. Alan, who's commenting here, was in the show for quite a while. Alec Simpson was there. Simpson, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Was there, and a few others, and we had a good time. Just kind of kicking around a few topics and going back and forth, and had a lot of fun. And I still
Yeah,
managed
I
to get
love
up
that.
even without Carlos, my head still exploded today. I don't know what happened. Alan pointed out to me that I was as riled up as I was when Carlos is there.
Um, well, perhaps it's just you've been working with him so long, your body clock knows it's Friday, so your head explodes before the case.
I think Alan's thinks he's going to get a sweep of my Yankees tonight too. We'll see, Alan. You let me know. We'll put a little wager on this. It doesn't have to be money. It can be just you got to wear a funny hat on your show or something. You know,
Um,
come up with
yeah,
something while we're on
yeah,
the air here, Alan.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I checked out the full episode that he was helping out young Ashton Cole, and I did do the episode planning and dropped in a few the drama questions, so I'm interested
Thank you for that.
to the whole of that.
I heard he's getting himself ready for the 2027 season, so he ought to be pretty good by then. Well rested.
Yeah, I was going to say very well rested because, as I said to you, I think the question is, could the fact that they've had success means even more so they needed to make the signing work this year. So come playoff time, will they need that extra star pitcher? What they could have spread the money somewhere else.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. So Holland says he'll wear a Yankee hat for a week if we win the series. I'll hold you to that. I don't have a Texas hat to wear. Do you have a Yankee hat to wear, Alan? Is the question, and I'm trying to think what I can reciprocate. I guess I'll sing the Texas, um, whatever the Texas anthem is. I'll sing it every day on my show for a week. How about that?
I was going to say when he's gone around wearing an Eagles jersey for a week, then anything, you can bet anything personally as a Cowboys fan.
All
Um,
right. Well, enough of that.
so Keith, jumping right in, we talked last week about the drama with the Bills, a few interesting things this week. One being Coach McDermott and the GM was
Yeah.
extended in their contracts, which is interesting timing. I know a lot of organisations do it around this time, but I do think it might have been a little bit just to quiet the noise around, say they have faith in them, and also maybe a message to a certain star wide receiver that the um, powers that be aren't going anywhere, so he better buck his head in if he wants a future in Buffalo. What do you think of this timing, Keith?
I find it interesting, as you said, after what happened last week at minicamp, and also, as you said, in fact, we've done it right here on the show, speculated that McDermott might be under some pressure to take the next step this year. This extension is really like a 2-year extension because he already had a contract through 25. It's not like he was a lame duck, so it's a little interesting timing, I guess. And maybe it is to show their faith in their head coach and give the players, not just Stefon Diggs, but maybe all the players, a message that McDermott is the guy that you'll be answering to this year and at least for a few years to come. Because I don't think they're going to extend him and pay him for the next 4 years, if or 3 years, I guess, after this, if he were to not perform. So I guess it's a message to the players for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And one other thing of note is they promoted one of their assistants to D-line coach, which I find interesting. The timing of this, could it be they're not necessarily happy with what they've seen um at mini camps? So I do find it a bit of weird timing that's happened now.
It is a little odd time for coaching shuffles. Getting this close to training camp, we're only a month away, right? Not or even maybe not even a month away. So it's a little odd that we see a shuffle this time of year. So it might signal, some unhappiness with the progress of that unit.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm going to be watching Buffalo very keenly this year because there's so much drama here. As one of my contributors said, actually, it's Jim Behringer's new co-host for Let's Talk Pucks. He said, even if they sweep it under the carpet, get back to business. Rarely do teams, when there's this much drama in camp, does everything go smoothly. It normally just means players and the team capitulates. And I do think there's something said for that. Drama isn't a good thing if you're a contender.
I guess it depends on the organization. I mean,
Yeah.
today I think you're probably right. But maybe back in the day, there was plenty of drama on teams that I followed through the years. I mean, the Yankees had plenty of drama on their teams in the '70s, and they were pretty good and won very consistently and won back-to-back titles. But today might be a little different in that regard, and football might be a little different too than maybe baseball as well, because it's a long season and you can recover from that type of thing. Football, you only get out there a handful of times really all year. So you've got to be striking on all cylinders for as much of those 17 games as you can. Drama just it can suck the life out of an organization depending on how long. Again, that's where strong leaders come into play, right? Because they can diffuse that type of thing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Now, before we talk New England, talking of Jim, I want to give him a bit of a shout out. He's going to be covering the NHL draft, and so
See that?
I can't say anyone I'm more proud of and who should be there. He is Mr. Hockey, in my point of view.
Absolutely. I've had him on my Sunday stream of consciousness a lot, over the years to talk hockey, and also on my college football show too, because Jim, doesn't just wear. He's not a one-trick pony, as it were. He knows his hockey, he knows his sports in general. But it's very nice to see Jim get that recognition, and he's certainly moving up the ladder, as it were, and with FullPressHockey.com, and I'm glad to see it.
Yeah, I agree. I consider myself very lucky that he messaged me a couple of years ago and said, "Hey, do you want to collab a bit?" And it turned into a show. One of the great best guys around, and should just be at something like the draft. In my opinion, I'm intrigued to see what he does there, and very good sports guy, knows his baseball as well. I know he doesn't talk it much, but when we're doing a sports show, he has a very deep knowledge of baseball.
Smart guy. I haven't talked baseball with him. I don't think at all. But we have talked a lot of college sports, especially football, and he certainly knows his stuff there too. So well-rounded guy and well deserved. And he's been, like I said, a good collaborator with myself as well. Even when he couldn't come on the show a couple of times, he'll record something and send it to me to play to catch up my folks on what's going on in the NHL. So we've had a lot of fun with that.
Yep, I agree. Now, New England, Keith, how you feeling? D Hop still out there. Are you feeling confident?
I am feeling good because I do believe if I'm going to believe reports, and I kind of do because of the either teams situations, personnel wise or salary cap wise. I think it's down to the Titans and the Patriots, and I think if I like my chances if that's the case. Um, I do think he would like to play for Bill Belichick. Um, the quarterback situation, you can't tell me it's any better in Nashville than it is here. So I'll take my chances, and I think we will see D Hopkins in the Patriots wide receiver room here in the next couple of weeks before training camps get started.
Yeah, I agree. Look, if I am confident in either of the two teams, it's the Patriots for me. I'd probably trust their coaching a little bit more. Not that I'm not a Vrabel fan, and just the quarterback. I think the quarterback is what swings it for them. I think he'd probably fancy going into Tennessee and being the guy from a receiving point of view, but at least Mac Jones has a possibility of having some modicum of success. You don't even know if Tannehill will be the starter come the end of the season. So just with injury, and they're obviously moving on from him. So with that indecision, I'm going with Patriots every day of the two teams.
Yeah, listen, I agree. And I think the only thing that may derail this is if he decides he's going to sit and wait to see what happens in camp if somebody gets a major injury or something, right? But again, even then, the teams that he really wanted to say go to, like the Bills or the Chiefs, aren't going to have cap money to bring him in. So, I don't see things changing even with an injury issue potentially where a team can pay him what he wants. So I think the Patriots are in good shape. And, Alan, the problem is their offense is also got Bill O'Brien running it and Adrian Clem running that offensive line right now to help figure out where those 9 guards can fit along that line. I'm very confident Adrian Clem will figure this out, and Bill O'Brien will have a very positive effect on Mac Jones. And whether D Hop comes in or not, you're going to see a much better showing from Mac Jones in that offense this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm intrigued to see what this offense is. I think with Bill O'Brien as we play call, I'm interested to see what Monday looks like. I think he could be very good for him, so I'm intrigued to see how he uses him.
Yeah, I agree. And there's also talk with if D Hop comes in here that Dalvin Cook may follow him because he's talked about how he wants to play with him. Now, I'm not a big fan of bringing Cook in unless it's on a really cheap deal because they do need some running back depth. But he better not come in here think he's going to be the number one back because Ramondre Stevenson is a stud and he's going to be one of the top 5 backs in this league. That's my hot take, Alan.
Yeah, I agree. And look, I think they can only get one probably, and I think he'll be D Hop personally speaking. And I
Yeah.
think it's a hard shell for Bill to get D Hop, but he's not paying a running back what Delvin wants to pay. I'm not even convinced he'll pay him half of what Cook wants to be paid.
No, look. He comes in here. He's coming in a very, very team friendly deal, and I don't think he's coming in here. He's probably going to have to come in on a team friendly deal wherever he ends up, whether it's Miami or. I mean, there's teams that need running backs, and nobody's running to sign him. Where are the Rams? Where are teams like that that really need running backs? I don't see them rushing to Cook's side, so I don't know what to expect here.
I think what it'll probably turn out to be that it is the Dolphins probably they pay him 5 to 6 million and another 3 odd million in incentives easily achieved. That's probably what it'll be so that they come down from what he wants, which I believe is 12, and they can argue they only paid 6, but in actuality it was closer to 9, and you can use to him the favourable tax situation
Mm-hmm.
at Miami, so he makes it up on the back end.
Yeah, maybe I should go down there for that favorable tax situation. Don't move to New York, Dalvin. You want to do that, Dalvin?
I was going to say, ask Johnny about the tax situation.
My plan was to go there, and all I did was move further north in New York. So, oh well. Grandkids do that to you, I guess. So.
It does. So talking of New York, we ain't talked about the Giants much. What do you think they'll be this year? Because I think they're going to be a very interesting team. Can they follow up on last year's success? I do honestly think it'll be interesting how they compare to the Cowboys because everyone has the Cowboys pegged as that sort of number 2. But I'd like to see if the Giants can compete with them a little because I think there could be an opportunity. McCarthy is the play caller. If the Giants can follow up on last year's progress with another step forward, this could be an interesting battle here.
I think it will be that whole division. I think will be interesting. I expect the team formerly known as the Redskins to be better as well, but I've thought that for a couple of years. I'm not going to say they'll win again, Alan, but the Giants theoretically, I think they'll be better this year. And the thing is, they could be a better team and have a worse record. It's possible because this division is so good and the schedule will not be favorable. But if everybody stays healthy, I mean, people think they didn't make enough moves, say at the wide receiver position, but if they can get some guys, like if Darius Slayton is going to be healthy, if Wan'Dale Robinson is going to be healthy and can take a step forward, because I like this kid a lot. I liked him coming out of Kentucky, and I still like him. And Sterling Shepard, and you got Walker, of course, who may be, the main target in that, not the wide receiver group, but the receiver group at tight end. I think this team has the weapons, if they stay healthy and play to their potential, to take a step forward. I think this team could be better. I think they will actually get to the playoffs and be more competitive than they were last year. And once they get past that first round, let's say, but I don't know. Daniel Jones has got to earn his money. And as long as he doesn't fall into any traps, as far as, now he's paid and takes a step backward, I don't think there's any reason to think that will happen with his work ethic and the way he approaches the game. I think the Giants are going to be contenders in the NFC. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be interesting one to watch because I'm not sure about the Cowboys. So if I'm the Giants, I'd try and ramp the pressure up a little bit. Let's see how good this coaching team is. Can they follow up last year with more of their players and take a step forward?
Agreed. Again, it could be tough because everybody's better in that division in my mind. Maybe Dallas is taking a step back. I don't know, Alan. We'll find out about that. Another team that needs some running back depth, speaking of running backs, as we did before. I want to say hi to CA for popping in here, too. Thank you, CA, for saying hi.
Yeah, CA, always nice to see you in the chat. And yeah, look, Carlos says a lot of things, so you're always going to say something what contradicts.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Oh, there's something. I don't know if you're going to touch on that, but we can. If we're going to get to it later, we can certainly touch on it. But you can address it if you want.
Well, we may as well do now. There's not too much for the Jets, and we can cover that after.
Okay.
MLB, yeah. Fun story. I had the opportunity to cover that. Got offered press credentials. Obviously, I can't, given my situation of being housebound, but I got one of our people to cover it. So shout out to Sports Sizzle. I think it's great, to be honest with you, and getting MLB in this country, it's something what hasn't quite caught fire as much as the NFL has, possibly. With the length of the game, I don't know, but I do know MLB don't put as much effort in trying attract more faces as the NFL do. I think it's a shame. It's a fantastic sport. I think the UK sports fan base would eat it up. And always nice to see the Cubs and a historic team playing in this country, and of course the team of our good friend Mr. Nick Bodkins.
Yeah, the Cubs and Cardinals, a great rivalry. I mean, neither team's, well, the Cubs are playing a little bit better right now, but neither team's playing great. But again, you get this type of rivalry. A lot of times the records don't matter. So it'll be a lot of fun. And I hope they're better games. When was this last time they were there? I want to say 2019. I don't know if that's right. But the balls were just flying out of the ballparks. I think they made some adjustments to the configuration of the field and such, because I think that they scored maybe like 40 runs in the two games that were played over there that day. It was a Red Sox. Was it Red Sox and Yankees? I think it was.
I think it might be. I'm pretty sure it was the Yankees.
Yeah.
Certain of it.
Yeah, and I know it was the Red Sox too, so I guess that's answers our question. So it'd be fun to kind of see that. It's always fun. I like to see our sports played elsewhere, our sports like we own them, but where they're not played normally, and see how the reception is. And you're right, I don't think the baseball certainly hasn't taken off like the football, or we would be seeing it on a yearly basis like we do the NFL, and the NFL's actually been expanding their trips to London. So.
Yeah, so Alan says, I think Dallas has a chance to win, but East history is on their side. Anyways, it'll be interesting. I know Eagles lost some bodies, but I think they've done a good job of bringing enough talent in. So I would be shocked if they don't take the division personally.
What is the history? I'm curious, Alan, that you're referring to.
He means not many teams win it back to back.
Oh, I
So
see.
I
Okay,
think
I got you.
I think that's his thinking, but um I just think the Eagles it take a lot, particularly with I've got doubts about the play calling for the Cowboys because
Mm.
are they going to take a step back? The Eagles offensively, so the Cowboys need to be better than that. And
Well, if McCarthy's actually going to call the plays, I would think they're going to lean heavier on the run than they have in the past, and it might also show if he's taken the reins that he might have a little pressure on him this year uh, to actually do something come playoff time, um, or the owner may be looking to make a change. So it's interesting that he's taken over the reins.
yeah, I agree. I actually think it's a dumb move, not just because of his history with play calling. There's no one else to blame. So if
Right.
you want to blame someone else like last year, then you appoint someone else in that position.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, and when coaches are going away from this, there aren't a lot of coaches calling plays anymore. There's some, but not a lot. And he hasn't, he's had some success, but none without a great quarterback. And I don't think he's got a guy as good as either Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers there in Dallas. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Adler knows that because he's trying to give away Dak around draft time. So, yeah, and there's nothing against Dak. I like him as a
No, me
person,
too.
as a man.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for him, but if he wants to be known as an elite guy, he's got to have a big year this year because he's had two down years. So, we will see. Yeah, you would assume last chance for McCarthy, CA, but I'm not going to bank on it because Jerry doesn't like to pull the trigger. Once he's found a guy, he can have as a drinking slash cigar buddy.
Well, if that's what's important to you, I guess you won't be winning 8 Super Bowls for a while, Jerry.
Yeah, yeah, there is. Um, yeah. So to Alan's point, losing Hargrave was a big one. Gardner Johnson, whereas he had a flashy year, this is a guy who the Saints basically gave away. I think they can find a guy at safety to cover that. So it'll be interesting what that D line looks like. But I think the Eagles are deep enough to
Team is
cover for
loaded.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely loaded. This team is. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, we'll see. Keith, I know we talked the Yankees a few days ago, but how you feeling?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
I know we talked blank New York Yankees
Oh,
a couple of days ago, but
yeah.
how you feeling?
About the same I was feeling then. I mean, it's just this team is nobody is stepping up, and then I watched the other night. I don't know what it might have been the same night I was on with you guys. I can't remember. Rizzo hits a ball that he thinks is out, and the last guy you expect to kind of pose and turn a double into a single because he thinks it's a home run is Rizzo, and he does that. Donaldson's getting booed off the field, both at the plate and on the field. The only guys playing any good are the two outfielders. Jake Bauer's been playing pretty good, and what's the other kid's name? Crap, forgot his name now. It'll come to me in a second. Alan will probably help me out. He's playing well. And here's the thing. Now, Judge supposedly had some good news the last couple of days, and he may be getting close to, maybe having a rehab stint. We'll see. But without him and with nobody else stepping up in this lineup or even in the rotation, Herman has given up like 15 runs now in his last 3 innings ish. No, so nobody's stepping up in a rotation to fill the void there. Clark Schmidt goes tonight against the Rangers, and he better have a good night. In the lineup, nobody's stepping up, and I don't know how they can. Their plan would be to carry Volpe through his struggles, and he's going to have struggles. And he's struggling at the plate, making contact. He's struggling in the field. He made a stupid play the other night trying to throw the ball third base, and I don't know what he was doing. But the way this team is constituted right now and the way they're playing, I don't know that they can continue to get by with his struggles. They could have if their lineup was playing the way that it should, but it's not. And I'm not sure how long they can just keep running him out there and not maybe, make a swap and send him down to get his feet under him a little bit and get Praz up here, who's been playing really well at AAA. So, and that's not to say Volpe won't be back, but you might have to make that move because you can't continue, with the way the other guys are stinking it up to keep running him out there every night.
Yeah, that's the big problem. I think they calculated for him to have his struggles, but their thinking was that the other guys would raise him up, if you will, and there's no one for support there. So really, it's a continuous circle where what just seems like he's losing confidence because of the lack of veteran support, because they're
Agreed.
struggling as much as he is.
Agreed. Like I said, I think he'd been okay, and he'd been able to work through his struggles, and the team could have allowed him to work through his struggles at the major league level if they were all performing to their own standards. But I mean, DJ's been bad, and Torres has been bad. Nobody has stepped up at all since Judge went down. Nobody stepped up on this offense. In fact, they've all stepped backwards, all of them. And they can't continue. I mean, right now they're still got the first. I think they have the best record for the wild card. But again, they're only 7 games over 500. We don't know when Judge will be back. We've got a big series with Texas tonight and starting tonight, and nothing's guaranteed. I said 6 teams in play. Maybe with the Red Sox, there's 7 teams in play for those 3 wild card spots, and there's nothing guaranteed to this team, and they better start turning it around quickly.
Yeah, I agree. It just seems like to me that a lot of these players are using the Judge injury as their excuse. It just seems like they're almost playing like they're a rookie, then their head go down because of it, rather than saying, well, the guy is gone. We need to be the guy for now. Young man, this is how we do it in the major league. So I think they need a hard look at themselves, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not going to go out and make a big trade, I don't think, because there's not going to be an impact player that they can bring in here. Maybe they'll go out and look for a left fielder. But the guys that are going to be available and they're being talked about, like Cody Bellinger, who I like a little bit. I mean, he got off to a good start this year, but he's stinking it up right now. They've talked about Tyler O'Neill from the Cardinals, but he had his own struggles this year with his play, injuries, and even his attitude. So I'm not sure exactly what they can do to get a spark here, other than get Judge back and hope that he has the effect on the lineup that he's had earlier in the year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Now, okay, the only thing that isn't making Yankees fans completely tear their hair out is they're not necessarily the worst team in New York.
No.
at the moment because there's another team what almost seems like get that bad will be bad as well. So they're helping them out there. I often think of our friend Dan Karubua. God knows what he thinks of this mess.
Oh, it's getting uglier and uglier, and I don't know. I mean, Scherzer pitched a good game here this week, but there's no consistency in the lineup. Well, I guess Nimmo's played okay. He's probably been the best, most consistent guy in the offense. Alonso's back from injury, but he's been too. Other than the home runs, he's been a bit inconsistent with the bat too. Lindor has had a little spark lately. How he is one of the finalists for the shortstop all-star position is amazing to me. Too many veterans who should be playing better just are not. Starling Marte, you can just go up and down the lineup and even in the rotation. This team might very well. I mean, I'm not going to say they're going to give up on the season, but they may very well try to sell either Verlander or Scherzer or even both. They'd have to eat a bunch of salary, but they may try to get out from underneath some of that and still try to contend for a wild card spot because there's a lot of mediocre teams, I think, in the National League that'll be fighting at least for that third spot. But it's going to be very interesting to see what the Mets do. They could be buyers and sellers all at the same time. It's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, and in regards to the Lindor situation, it just goes to show that it's a popularity contest, a name, rather than based on performances.
Alan's taking credit for the Yankees not being back to the World Series for 13 years because of a game Derek Holland pitched in 2010. I'm not sure how that correlates to year after year, Alan, but I'm okay with that. I'll still back CA's comment that the Rangers have had horrible success against the Yankees, especially in the postseason, outside of that the game you referred to. So you've got one game and one series to kind of hang your hat on, and I'll take the other 4 or 5 when we just beat the bejesus out of you every year. I know it was a long time ago. I get it, but whatever.
Also, Alan, you don't want to take credit for that if you ever travel to New York. You might want to keep that one on the down low.
Probably so.
Yes, so
CA's got a
CA
good point here about
mentioned
those. Yeah.
the series with
Yeah.
the Mets and Phillies. Interesting matchup just based on the fan bases. Will be interesting, if not for the baseball, just some of the behavior.
Well, the behavior will always be a little above the beyond the pall, if you will, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. It's not the best pitching matchup tonight is with Taiwan Walker going against Senga. Senga's pitched okay, but that's not going to excite a lot of people. Taiwan Walker, the former Met, has not pitched very well for the Phillies, so maybe it'll get better. Tomorrow night we get Scherzer against Sanchez, so maybe it'll be a little better. But big series for both of these teams. Phillies have been very, very up and down. They got off to a really bad start. They've had 2 or 3 really good streaks followed by 2 or 3 really bad streaks. And I think they've lost. Yeah, they lost a couple in a row. They lost to the Braves, and last night they got rained out. So this has been a very up and down team, and the Mets are going to start to get it going. This would be a good place to do it.
Yeah, I agree. And it's really now or never, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
There will be no tomorrow if they don't start performing some night.
It's going to be interesting to see how Steve Cohen deals with losing because he hasn't had to deal with it not like this since he's owned the team. And, I hate to see It's not going to happen during the season, but it's quite possible that, Buck and maybe the GM pay the ultimate price here. Epler may pay the price for this as well, because Cohen's in love with the young guy who used to. I did this last week. The guy who used to be the GM of the Brewers. He was courting him before he hired Epler, and the talk is that he's been having discussions with him now, even while he's got a GM. So, not a good sign for Billy Epler. And if they bring in a new GM, as we kind of mentioned last week, it wouldn't be probably good for Buck. Trying to find his
Yeah.
name. Drive me nuts. I can't remember his name.
Andre, fun fact,
Yeah.
Tanner's brothers were hitting coach for the Brewers. I don't know if you knew that.
Who? Tanner?
Yeah.
No kidding. I did not know that. That is a fun fact. By the way, I probably shouldn't say this, but he better get some better hitters, or he won't have that job very long. Probably not his fault. The Brewers just cannot bring in guys that can seem to get the ball into play there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I tell you what, for the last couple of years, it seems like I'm expecting something from them. It just been one of those teams what have some good plays, but just something's missing. So intrigued to see how the rest of the season plays out.
Yeah, I hope. Listen. I've liked that Brewers team for a while. Craig Counsell's one of the best managers in baseball, and I'm sure Tanner's brother is a really good coach. I don't mean, I'm not trying to disparage him. They just have had trouble, scoring runs the last few years, and their pitching staff has been one of the best in baseball, and it's not as good as it's been in a while. They're fortunate they're playing in the NL Central, excuse me. Although the Reds, who CA mentions here with a big series with Atlanta starting tonight, are red hot with 11 wins in a row, playing great with a bunch of kids, doing a great job.
Yeah, I agree. So before we wrap things up, I want to promote we at Let's Talk Sports are going to be working with 5280 Sports Radio in Denver. They've asked me to have my own show on there, and looking forward to that. Always nice to do sports radio, and I think some of their guys are going to do some morning sports shows for us. A nice little you help us, we help them situation.
Yeah, looking forward to that endeavor. So good luck with that, Dan. Sounds like fun. What were the call letters again for that station?
5280 sports. So they are a smaller radio. One of their hosts he's our Denver contributor, so he recommended the work we do here. So that was basically our in with them.
Well, that's good. Sounds like a lot of fun, and looking forward to that endeavor.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Keith. Now, a couple things to promote. The first thing is right before you check out the Stream of Consciousness on Sunday, don't forget to check out Keith on the Mac and Jack show on Northeast Streaming Sports. Keith, what have you got planned for the Stream of Consciousness show?
Well, we'll have a lot of Major League Baseball. We'll dive into, excuse me, we'll talk more about the Yankees issues, the Mets issues, the All-Star, the first wave or first level of All-Star votings in the books. We'll talk a little about that. Maybe some of the snubs in the finalists. Certainly I'm going to talk more and more. I'm not going to stop talking about this until he stops talking about it. Rob Manfred continuing to have this obsession with the Astros and the sign stealing debacle, which I think is one of the most overrated things ever in the history of sports debacles. But he can't let that go. So we'll get into that. We'll talk the NFL. We'll talk some of the NBA draft, some Knicks news. Get into a little bit of everything this week. Oh,
Yeah,
and also the College World Series. Yes.
yeah, can't miss that. So everyone, be sure to check Keith out. Always a great time. Very active in the comments, and yeah, I'm sure you've got stuff to talk about with the Rob Manfred thing. I know Astros contributors, they say they can't go to a bar without being reminded of it, which, as they said, is what it is, but it's not like their running team what's ever cheated
No, every
in.
team is in 150 years of baseball's been in existence has been stealing signs. So they took it to another level. I'll give you that, but still. Don't you find it
I
ironic,
agree.
Dan? I know we're trying to wrap it up, but I got to throw this in there because I've said it a couple times. I said it on the RU Series show. I said it in the MLB update. Don't you find it, again, these leagues are so hypocritical. The big deal about the sign stealing scandal with the Astros, what they did it with electronics and, you know, and new age technology, right? And well, new age technology with technology. But now they're letting catchers and pitchers communicate with technology so that they can hide their signs because they can't seem to hide them. To me, if you don't want your signs stolen, do a better job of hiding them. Well, they've now got this whole thing with you push the button for a fastball, this button for a curveball. So it's okay to hide your signs with technology, but it's not okay to try to steal signs with technology. These sports leagues and the guys running them never fail to amaze me with their hypocrisy.
I agree. And also, an interesting thing is the Dodgers got caught doing it not long afterwards, and no one really says so they've had been in contention for
Yeah.
several years now. So has their success been doubted because of that? It never seems to get brought up.
And they're one of the biggest crybabies, along with my Yankees, about the Astros and them stealing signs because they both supposedly were the victims of it in 2017. Well, the Yankees, by the way, Brian Cashman, you need to be quiet too because when you don't score runs, you don't win games. And the Yankees didn't score any runs in that series, and that's why you lost.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the reality is maybe they'd have more of a point if they were closer. So, um, this
Maybe.
is always a thing. What will go on? I think Manfred's plan to Gary a little bit, try and stay relevant a little bit in the column inches.
Maybe just be quiet for a while, Rob.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, everyone, be sure to support Keith on Sunday. Um, follow TGR Sports Talk where you're. But all what remains is for me to thank you, Keith, for joining me today.
Well, I thank you, and I appreciate being here with you again on Friday, as we always try to be. And now, next Friday, we won't be on. I'll make that mention because of my imminent move. So there'll be no. Well, I'll have no shows on TGI Sports Talk next Friday.
Yeah, that's no problem. I had remembered, and we will very much miss you, but we'll look forward to hearing the tales of moving in and your adventures, Keith.
I'll hope to be back on the air by Sunday, so you'll see me a little harried, maybe, but probably, hopefully, not too worse for the wear.
We can't wait. Yeah, thank you to everyone for joining us today. And until next time, let's talk sport fans. Thanks for watching.
Have a great weekend.